and lets them in.
That was stunning.
Hold on. Can we just stop this? Just play it back a second, right? Because you can hear a copper saying, hang on, there's something going on here. If you're really quiet, you'll hear it. Just go play it.
Something going on here.
I don't know how many we got in. We reckon about 14. Says we reckon about 14 Jags got in there. And we were talking to the drivers, and they just said it was great when we got in. They said we just all parked up next to Prescott's one and formed a nice long line. And the next stage of the plan was that they would all get up and stand by the exit with the signs and just wait. And I've just got, you fucking hell. So, John, if you are watching, we have got some of the documents. I'm not going to tell you which ones we've got. So why don't you just send us all of them and then we can have a look. Basically, Jack's found another scapegoat. Uncle Jack Straw has found another one. And what happened is, this is the case that's been called the Cambridge 2. Some of you might be aware of it. What happened, there's a homeless hostel in Cambridge called Winter Comfort. And two of the people who work there, Ruth Weiner and John Brock, their job is to get homeless people off the street. The police are concerned because between 20 to 40% of homeless people in the Cambridge area have got drug problems. There's a lot of smackies going out there. Now, the police said, we want to catch the dealers. Ruth and John cooperated, saying, yeah, dealing's bad, we're going to try and sort something out. The police ran, unbeknownst to Ruth and John, an undercover operation. Hundreds of hours of videotape was collected, and they eventually arrested 8 dealers. They also arrested Ruth and John. They arrested them and charged them under Section 8 of the Misuse of Drugs Act 1971. And they were thinking, how can they do this? What's the charge against us? The charge was that Ruth and John hadn't made confidential notes available to the police that may have contained information about their suspicions of people who might be addicts. They were charged with Section 8. They were put on trial, and they got 5 years and 4 years in Nick. Gospel. For working in a homeless shelter with smack addicts and not giving the police their confidential notes. And they could have given it over, but they thought this is so important, because if we turn around and say, we'll give you the notes, what does that do to homeless people? It just says, you come in here, we'll grass you up. Our job is to get them off the street. So they've gone to jail. And we spoke to the Labour MP from the area, and she is PPS to Patricia Hewitt, and so she's not going to say much. So we were fucking grateful when she said it's a complete miscarriage of justice.
Well, I think there's a huge miscarriage of justice. I think that, I think that the judge who passed this sentence cannot possibly have understood the sort of circumstances under which John and Ruth were working. I've written to Jack Straw asking him to clarify and produce guidelines for people who are working in this sector. And I've also asked him, through a parliamentary question, if he intends to amend the Act, the 1971 Act, to make it clearer to people just what they can and can't do.
And we went up to Cambridge the other night, and we talked to John Brock's family,
Yeah, it's really hard because you really look forward to the visit, you know, and you're really on a high. You're going to see him, you can cuddle and kiss him, and it's great, you know. And then 3/4 of an hour, you've got to say goodbye, and it's another 2 weeks before you can see him, and it's like a bereavement in a way.
Jack Straw, what do you want him to do?
I'd like him to reply to my son's letter. I've got a 10-year-old son as well, and he wrote to him on the 22nd of December, and we haven't had a reply. I'd like him to do that. I'd like him to read all the letters that my colleagues and friends and family have sent.
What did your 10-year-old write about in his letter?
He wrote about how his dad was doing his job, how his dad had been abused, he'd been threatened with a knife by the users, but had always stuck with his job. It'd be quite easy for him to have given up, but and that he missed him, and he wished Jack Straw a happy Christmas and a happy millennium, but said he wasn't going to have one because his dad wasn't there.
And Jack hasn't got back to you yet?
No.
So, the other night, we went up to Cambridge, because this ruling and these sentences don't just affect people who work with the homeless, they affect anyone where drug dealing might take place. They affect teachers, they affect probation officers, prison officers, social workers, drug project workers. They can affect anyone. They could affect a church group. So we thought we'd go up to Cambridge. Hiya. How you doing? Hiya. Hello, my name's Mark Thomas from Channel 4. We've got a group of people here who have just come to hand themselves in. I'm completely innocent.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is untrue, as everybody that watches Channel 4 knows.
Hello there.
Hi, I'm Mark Thomas from Channel 4. Pleased to meet you.
Mike Brown, Duty Inspector.
Excellent. What we've got here is these people here all work on homelessness projects, care projects, youth projects or drug projects.
Right.
And after the Ruth and John the Cambridge 2 verdict, as you can see just behind you,
Yep.
after that, they're very concerned that they haven't done everything within their power to prevent drug use taking place on the premises of which they have a managerial or a care role. And so they've come to hand themselves in.
Right.
And really, you should speak to them because they want to give themselves
Sure,
up.
we've been reading the judgment, you know, the judge made, very serious about this, and I didn't know that what I was doing was a criminal activity. No, I didn't know that. I have absolute evidence that I broke the law. I spoke with this woman about a heroin addict. She said he was breaking the law, and it didn't come here until the police.
Right. I can only give my interpretation on it in as far as the necessity for managers of hostels to do all in their power to ensure that the supply of drugs does not take place on their hostel premises.
And I have not,
Now,
definitely not. I plead guilty to it. I'm absolutely as charged.
right. Well, what do you consider is in your power?
Well, I
That
could
you're
have
not
done
doing?
all kinds of things. You know, sniffer dogs we should have used, absolutely. X-ray machines, there's all kinds of them. We should have vetted everybody that came in to the building we want. There was a massive things we could have actually done, and we didn't because we didn't know that was the law.
Yeah.
And I would demand to be arrested, right? I've broken the law, I'm pleading guilty to it, and the law is that and he's very clear on this, that's the second red pig thing, which is that I heard from the woman's own lips that she was a heroin addict, that she had taken heroin, she was breaking the law in a number of respects, and I did not immediately pick up my cell phone, come around the Parkside and say, excuse me, I just talked to a woman. And I have to say that I demand for at least 600 offences similar to that to be taken into account. Because I'm a
Okay.
social worker and I'm not a police informer. You have in front of you a guilty man.
If you're asking me to...
Show me the cells.
If you're asking me to explain the anomaly that you see here, I can't do that.
I'm a felon. You know, I'm confessing.
Right. Okay. Well, with regard to what you're telling us, if you believe that you are in breach of the law, then I can take your details and I will have an officer come and speak to you and consider that point. It's my responsibility as a police officer, as I'm sure you're aware, to be impartial.
Yeah.
And to deal with the law as we see it.
Yeah.
And it's in dealing with the law as I see it that I will not be arrested.